Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahamadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. We are continuing our study of Granthara Srimad-Bhagavatam. Canto 1, Chapter 7, entitled The Son of Dronacharya Punished. And we are reading text number 8, verse number 8 onwards. All the translations and purports are by our revered, beloved founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhams Parivrajaka Shtotter Shata Shri Śrīmad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Verse number 8. I hope all of you have your Srimad-Bhagavatams in front of you. Text 8. Sasanhitam Bhagavatim Kritvanu Kramya Chatmajam Shukam Adhyapayamasa Nivritti Niratam Muni. The great sage Sri Vyasadeva, after compiling Srimad-Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sri Shukdev Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. So, in this verse, Srila Suta Goswami is describing to all the sages in Naimisharanya, headed by Sri Shaunak Rishi. Srila Suta Goswami is telling them in reply to his questions that Srila Vyasadeva, after compiling Srimad-Bhagavatam and after revising it, Anukramya, after editing, revising it, putting it nicely, he taught it to his own son. Who was his own son? A son is called Atmajam, one who is born from one's own body. Jam means to take birth. Atmajam. Shri Shukdev Goswami was born from Srila Vyasadeva. He was a son. He taught it. And the word Nivritti is used, the path of self-realization. This is very important. So Srila Vyasadeva taught his son, Shri Shukdev Goswami, the path of self-realization through Srimad-Bhagavatam. Shukdev Goswami was already a very great yogi. He was already engaged in the work of self-realization, but he was taught Srimad-Bhagavatam by his own father, Srila Vyasadeva. Several important lessons, my dear friends, here. Here we learn that it is the responsibility of us grahastas to teach our children about Krishna. Not that we study ourselves, but we have to teach our children also. Sometimes parents want their children to learn. Sometimes some parents have even spoken to me that, Prabhuji, can you please teach some nice stories from Bhagavatam to our children, some nice stories from Chaitanya Charitamrita to our children. But I see that these parents who are telling me to teach their children nice stories from Srimad-Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they themselves don't sit in the Katha. They themselves don't know much about the scriptures. They are busy with their materialistic work, jobs, vacations, earning money. And they expect that someone else will teach their children about the Shastras. It doesn't work like that. Unless the children see their own parents sitting in Harikatha, taking notes and hearing attentively, they will not take it seriously. My parents don't know Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why should I? So here Srila Vyasadeva himself had studied Srimad-Bhagavatam from his Gurudev, Sri Narad Muni. And now he's teaching it to his son, Sri Shukdev Goswami. This is the parampara system. So we must janma sarthak kari kara para uppkar. So if we want our children to become good devotees, first we must try to become good devotees ourselves. Purport. Srila Prabhupada says again and again that Srimad-Bhagavatam is the natural commentation on the Brahma Sutras compiled by the same authors. Brahma Sutra, another name is Vedanta Sutra. These are several hundred sutras that Srila Vyasadeva has compiled. And they are sutras. They are aphorisms. Very succinctly, in few words, they have been put together to teach us the essence of all the Vedic literature. The essence of all Vedic literature is there in Vedanta Sutra. Veda Anta. The conclusion is there of all the Vedas in these Vedanta Sutras. There are hundreds of thousands of Vedic verses. All of them are summarized in few hundred sutras. That's it. So very nicely Srila Vyasadeva has given a summary through key aphorisms, Vedanta Sutras. Now, these Vedanta Sutras also need an explanation because sutras are very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand. You need explanation for that. So the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra is Srimad-Bhagavatam. This purport is very important. Srila Prabhupada says that among different scholars, there is a difference of opinion about the date of compilation of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Some scholars, they criticize Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now listen carefully, dear devotees. Some devotees, not devotees, but some people, they criticize Srimad-Bhagavatam. They minimize the importance of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Why? Because they say, yeah, Srimad-Bhagavatam, it's an Adhunik Puran. It's a new Puran. It was written recently. Oh, but the Vedas, they came from the breathing of Mahavishnu. They are very, very old. They are eternal. Srimad-Bhagavatam, oh. In Bhagavatam only it is mentioned that it was compiled recently by Srila Vyasadeva. So it's a recent work, not very important. The ancient Upanishads and Vedas, they are important. So that is a very foolish argument. Because who compiled all these Puranas? Who compiled all the Upanishads and Vedas? It is Srila Vyasadeva. That author himself is saying in Srimad-Bhagavatam, I was dissatisfied after compiling all that. And it was Srimad-Bhagavatam that made him satisfied. So just because something is old doesn't necessarily mean it is right. Because the author, in his great maturity, has written Srimad-Bhagavatam. After going through all that, finally he's giving the crest jewel in the end. That is Srimad-Bhagavatam. It was compiled. So as far as the exact date of compilation is concerned, Srila Prabhupada says, definitely Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled before the disappearance of Parikshit Maharaj. Now please raise your hand if you can tell what is the proof that Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled before the death of Parikshit Maharaj. Raise your hand. Yes, Shama Kishori Mataji, you can answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, because he is hearing it from Shukra.
Yes, he is the audience. He is the main audience. He is the Shrota. So naturally, this common sense. Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled before the disappearance of Parikshit Maharaj. And it was after the departure of Lord Krishna. Who can answer what is the proof for this? Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Srimad-Bhagavatam was composed after Krishna left. What is the proof for that? Who can answer? Raise your hand, please. Okay, Ramsham Prabhuji, go ahead.
Krishna said, after, no, there is the sixth question, right? Sixth question.
Very good.
After the departure of,
Krishna Swadhamo Pagate. After Krishna went back to the abode, where did Dharma take residence? And it's very good. And also in Srimad-Bhagavatam, the disappearance Leela of Krishna is mentioned. So yes, very good. So Srila Prabhupada is saying Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled before the disappearance of King Parikshit and after the disappearance of Lord Krishna. So it was around 5,000 years ago. What about Mahabharata? Was Mahabharata compiled before or after Srimad-Bhagavatam? Raise your hand if you would like to answer. Okay. So Amrit Karana Prabhuji, you can go ahead.
Before, it was written before.
What was composed before?
Mahabharata is composed before the Bhagavatam.
Correct. Why?
Because all these war, all these stories are there, all the pastimes, a lot of Krishna's pastimes, all these are there.
Yes, and also in Srimad-Bhagavatam, in the first canto we saw, Srila Vyasadeva says that Narad Muni also says, you have compiled the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Which is meant for the less intelligent people.
Less intelligent person. Yeah.
So Mahabharata was already compiled by Srila Vyasadeva before Srimad-Bhagavatam. And what about the Mahabharata versus the Puranas? What was composed before, the Puranas or the Mahabharata? Raise your hand. Yes, Parima Mataji, go ahead.
Puranas. Puranas, Prabhuji. Puranas were composed first and then the Mahabharata.
Correct. Srila Prabhupada is writing clearly. The Puranas were compiled before Mahabharata. So it's like this. The Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas first, then Mahabharata, and then Srimad-Bhagavatam. That is the chronology. So Srimad-Bhagavatam was compiled. The last final work of Srila Vyasadeva is Srimad-Bhagavatam. So we can say that it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva in his full maturity. It is a final offering of Srila Vyasadeva to the human beings. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the science for following the path of Nivritti Marg. In the 6th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, this Pravrtti Marg and Nivritti Marg are described. Who can explain what these two paths are? Nivritti Marg and Pravrtti Marg. Okay, so anyone else who has not answered? Shama Kishori Mataji, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, Pravritti Marg is the path of sense enjoyment, and Nivritti Marg is spiritual path of spiritual progress.
Correct, detachment.
Yes.
Nivritti, to give up. Correct. So Nivritti Marg and Pravritti Marg. There are two paths of approaching transcendence. One is that, okay, whatever your desires are, just fulfill them, but within the boundaries of Dharma. Pravritti Marg means you engage in sense gratification, but within the boundaries of Dharma. Whatever desires you have, you fulfill them, but within the Maryada, within the boundary of religion, Dharma. Don't do something sinful. And then after you enjoy for a long time, you will get satisfied. And then you can give it. This is called Pravritti Marg. Does it sound good? Enjoy, And then when you are satisfied, then you can give it up. What do you think is the problem with Pravritti Marg? Please raise your hand. Yes. So Satyarupa Mataji or Janani Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Satyarupa here. With this, we will never be satisfied. We will feel hankering for more and more.
Okay. Very good.
Krishna will not be satisfied.
Will not be satisfied. Will not be satisfied. And what is the guarantee that we will give it up one day? Right? There is no guarantee that we will give it up one day. We may get more and more attached instead of getting detached. So Pravritti Marg, any Satyarupa Mataji, anything else you can think of for Pravritti Marg, problem with Pravritti Marg? How about the time it takes to get Krishna? Is it a quick process or is it a long process? Long and unpredictable, right? Oh, you're not able to unmute. Sorry, Mataji. Yeah, go ahead.
It is a long process, as you said. And we will get more and more entangled in this cycle of birth and death.
Correct. Very good. We'll get more and more entangled. Now, raise your hand, dear devotees. Who can give some example from Srimad-Bhagavatam? Someone who did the Pravritti Marg. Okay. I see a lot of hands. Okay. Mukta Sangha Prabhu?
Ajamila.
Yeah, but Ajamil, correct. Ajamil really did not get disgusted by enjoying, but he was afraid of the Yamdutas. He was frightened by the Yamdutas. So that's why after that he heard the pravachan, the preaching of the Vishnu Dutas. And by hearing the Hari Katha by the Vishnu Dutas, he gave it up. So yes, it's an example. But someone who enjoyed, and by enjoying was completely disgusted and dissatisfied and gave it up. There is nothing in this. It's phaltu. It's useless. Sense gratification doesn't make sense. Okay, Kalindi Priti Mataji, please go ahead. Example from Bhagavatam of Pravritti Marg.
I'm trying to remember the name, but I know that son he enjoyed a lot. There's Poundarika Prabhuji Maharaj.
Puranjan Maharaj.
Puranjan.
Puranjan Maharaj.
Puranjan, correct.
Puranjan Maharaj. Yes, that's a good example. Of course, he required the preaching of Shripad Narad Muni, who came. So it was actually Prachini Barhi. He was the king who was preached, and he was told the story of Puranjan. The story of Puranjan is an allegorical story. But you're right. Puranjan also enjoyed, ultimately died. And then he realized the falsity of his material enjoyment. But there is another example, classic example that someone enjoyed, and then just got frustrated. Srimad-Bhagavatam, very clear example of Pravritti Marg. So, Sundari Gopi Mataji. Where is Sundari Gopi Mataji gone?
Prabhuji, I can't remember the name, but he took the youth of his son and
Yayati Maharaj, yes.
Yayati, yes.
That was the example I was looking for. Yayati Maharaj, very classic. He enjoyed with Devyani, finally got completely frustrated. And then he told the allegorical story to his wife. He preached to his wife. Gave the allegorical story of, who knows? Raise your hand. Who knows the allegorical story that he told? Yes, Bhakti Rasa Mataji. Where is Bhakti Rasa Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I was going to say Maharaji Yati for the previous question, but does also Dhruva Maharaj count also because he wanted a kingdom greater than his father?
So Dhruva Maharaj is different. Dhruva Maharaj did Karma Mishra Bhakti. We were discussing Karma Mishra Bhakti examples in the previous session. That is Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted Sthanabhilashi. He wanted a kingdom. No, but I am saying that someone So Dhruva Maharaj became renounced by having darshan of Lord Vishnu. But I'm saying someone who followed Pravritti Marga, enjoyed, and then just realized that this enjoyment is not sustainable. A few moments of pleasure, and then it just keeps you bound. I want enjoyment that will last forever. That is example is Yayati Maharaj. And he gave example of Rishi Bhujwan. What allegorical story did Yayati Maharaj tell Devyani?
He gave the story of a she-goat and a he-goat and she-goat.
Ah, very nice. Very nice, Rishi Prabhu. Excellent. Very good. Yes, another example of Pravritti Marg from Bhagavatam. Yes, Swati Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Chitraketu Maharaj and King Vena's father, King Angas.
Can you elaborate on that? How?
Because the King Angas, he was like he wants child who is he was ruling the kingdom, and he wants child who take care of kingdom and all. But his son was completely like a demonic atheistic.
Correct.
So he lived everything and he left and he went
to the forest. Very good example. Everybody heard? Very nice example. Okay. Another example. Second example. What would you say?
King Chitraketu Maharaj, he wants a son. Even when the sage Angira Muni came, and not Angira Muni, Narad Muni came and preached, but he was not ready. He wants son. But when he got Harsha Shoka's son and he left the body, when he died, his son died. That time he realized that this is all material is temporary and permanent is Krishna's.
Actually, Angira Muni came first. Angira Muni gave the benediction that you will have a son, Harsha Shok. And then when Harsha Shok died, then both of them came. Narad Muni and Angira Muni came.
Okay, Prabhu.
But first Angira Muni. Yes, that's also a good example how material enjoyment gets frustrated. One more example, very nice. Radhanam Prabhu. Go ahead. Pravritti Marg, example from Bhagavatam.
Prabhuji, would the example of Gajendra be okay? Because he was enjoying with his elephants, and then when he...
Yeah, but see, it's not like he got fed up of enjoyment. These are all good examples. Yes, they ultimately renounced, but he was forced to renounce because of the crocodile attack. So, yes, Manju Bhashini Mataji, go ahead.
Saubari Muni.
This is what I was looking for. Example of Saubari Muni. Very
After
nice.
old age.
Saubari Muni. Married 50 wives. He had so many unfulfilled desires. But again, he realized that this is not real happiness. It cannot give happiness. Got frustrated. And then he preached to his wives. 50 wives he preached. And said, let's all go to the forest. And let's renounce everything. And then they all attained Krishna. Together. Okay. So this is the Pravritti Marg. But Srimad-Bhagavatam does not teach Pravritti Marg. It gives all these examples of Pravritti Marg to teach us that this is utter nonsense. Another classic example of Pravritti Marg. Anyone wants to give? Very classic. It spans over Canto 9 and Canto 11. Let's see. Sorry. Yes, Sharmishna Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is it Ajamil?
Yeah, Ajamil example was already given. Yes, kind of. But very classic example. It spans through Canto 9 to 11. Aparna Mataji. Where is Aparna Mataji? Yeah, Aparna Mataji put it in the chat box. Maharaj Pururava. He enjoyed like a madman with Urvashi. And finally, what is the song that he spoke? Raise your hand. In the 11th canto, what is that chapter called? Yes, Aparna Mataji, go ahead.
Aila Geet, Prabhuji.
Aila Geet, where he expressed his renunciation. So yes, so these examples of Pravritti Marga are given throughout Srimad-Bhagavatam to teach us that this is not the path we want to follow. Because Srimad-Bhagavatam gives us, after describing these Pravritti Marga examples, Srimad-Bhagavatam gives us the hardcore realizations of all these devotees who practice Pravritti Marga. And their realization is no, 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 don't do this. We have done it. Imagine if Maharaj Pururava, now think about this. Think about this. Maharaj Pururava was very handsome. His body was fit, handsome, capable of enjoying. He was the king. He didn't have scarcity of money. He had everything that he required for enjoyment. And he had the most beautiful woman, Urvashi. Urvashi manifested from the, who knows? Urvashi manifested from where? Amrit Karan Prabhu. From the thigh of?
It's not, from the thigh of Naranarayan.
Just think about it. She has appeared from the Supreme Lord. She is like Mohini Murti, so beautiful, Urvashi. She is the Chudamani of Indra's court. Indra also doesn't have such a beautiful Apsara. So Pururava had a healthy body, he had money, he had youth, and he had the desire to enjoy. And he has the most beautiful woman to enjoy with. That is Urvashi. But still, was he satisfied? Did he become happy? Answer is no. So think about this. If Maharaj Pururava cannot be ecstatic and happy after getting Urvashi, how can you and me be happy? We don't even have a body like Pururava and we don't have a partner like Urvashi. How can you and me be happy? Pururava was not happy. So don't think that if I get this woman, I'll be happy. Or don't think that if I get that man, I'll be happy. Think about it. Srimad-Bhagavatam is giving us this. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. These things cannot give us happiness. It is an illusion. It's a trick of the mind to think, if I get this, I'll be happy. If I get to enjoy with this person, I'll be happy. It's a trick. We should not fall for it. So Srimad-Bhagavatam is giving us these examples of Pravrtti Marg to teach us that this is not the right path. It is teaching us that we should take the path of Nivritti Marg. Now, raise your hand if you can give from Srimad-Bhagavatam some examples of Nivritti Marg. Haribol, positive examples now. Okay, Sharanagat Mataji. I think somehow you are not able to unmute Mataji because
you look like Shanagati Mataji is not on the audio.
I was not able to unmute. So yes, Prabhu, you go ahead. Did you raise your hand, Ajay Govind Prabhu? I'm not able to see.
I was just telling that Mataji was not on the audio.
Okay. Kalindi Priti Mataji, give example of Nivritti Marg from Srimad-Bhagavatam.
There's so many, right, Prabhuji? All the Pandavas, Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj.
Okay. Yes.
All are detached.
Narad Muni.
Narad
Muni. Shamchandra Prabhu, example?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think there are so many examples is already outlined. Prahlad Maharaj is the best example. Even Parikshit Maharaj is the best example. Anybody who has got this knowledge from the womb has to be the best example. And they have shown us what is Nivritti Marg. So I can think of Prahlad Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj as two fine examples, Prabhuji.
Yes, very good. Sandeep Bharadwaj Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the very first one, Srila Shukadeva Goswami.
Nivritti Marg. Yes, and he is the Acharya. He's the Acharya who is speaking Srimad-Bhagavatam. So yes, Srimad-Bhagavatam is teaching us the Nivritti Marg. That don't be after the sense gratification. It will not, you learn it the hard way. Pravritti Marg means to learn it the hard way. And Nivritti Marg means to learn it the intelligent way, by hearing. Pravritti Marg means commit the crime, go to jail, suffer in jail, and then you learn I should not steal or I should not commit this illegal activity. That is called Pravritti Marg. Why? Where you can read the law books, you can read about, hear about different cases that this person sold drugs and got arrested. This person broke this law, got arrested. Just learn from those examples. All the examples are in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur writes that Chitraketu Maharaj went through so much purification, so many reversals. First, Angira Muni is coming and instead of asking him for bhakti, he's asking him for a son. Then the son comes, son dies. Then he becomes liberated Chitraketu Maharaj as a Vidyadhar, preaching the glories of Lord Narayan, traveling everywhere. And then becomes proud and again falls down as a demon, Vritarasur. So in the commentary to 6th Canto, Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur writes that Chitraketu Maharaj is going through so much purification, making so many mistakes again and again. But if we read the Charitra of Chitraketu Maharaj and learn from it, we don't have to go through all that. And this will be our last birth. Chakravarti writes in his commentary. So therefore, these examples are there in Srimad-Bhagavatam to give us inspiration that we should follow the Nivritti Marg. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing, look at the end of the purport. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the science for following the path of Nivritti Marg. The path of Pravritti Marg was condemned by Narad Muni. Can someone explain this line of Srila Prabhupada? The path of Pravritti Marg was condemned by Narad Muni. By his personal example? Yes, Sharanagat Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Yeah. Tell me 2 ways in which Narad Muni condemns the path of Pravritti.
In the 6th canto, when he was telling Vyasa Muni, that time he condemned, he said that like, what kind of scripture you wrote, which is like attracting everyone to do the karmic work. I mean, like, because Vyasa Muni wrote all these Vedas, so that time he was condemning, like, he was condemning, saying that like, you did the work which is like involving them more and more in sense gratification.
Correct. That is the first canto.
That is the first canto of 6th chapter, and you said that one more example, one more place when
and by his personal example.
Yes,
in his personal life also he practiced Nivritti Marg, not Pravritti Marg. He renounced after his mother died. He didn't go, oh, I am a child, I need to find a stepmother, or I need to find some ashram, or I need to get married. Who will take care of me? No.
Right.
Nivritti Marg. So Sripad Narad Muni condemns the path of Pravritti by personal example, number 1, and by his instructions to all. When he was instructing so many people like Maharaj Prachini Barhi, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, everyone in his preaching, sons of Daksha Prajapati, everyone, Srimad Narad Muni taught the path of Nivritti. So Narad Muni, by his personal example and through his pravachan, his preaching, he is teaching Nivritti Marg. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes, the path of Pravritti Marg was condemned by Sripad Narad Muni. He is teaching Nivritti Marg.
Yeah. So Nivritti means, first I thought like path of renunciation means like I gave the example of 4 Kumaras. I thought like you saying the neti, saying the no to everything, but looks like it means that using everything for the service of the Krishna. So
yes, Nivritti Marg means, ideally it means the path of Yukta Vairagya, where we give up all things connected to one's selfish enjoyment, but there is no question of rejecting things that can be used in Krishna's service. Arjun did not reject the Gandiv bow. In fact, he used the Gandiv bow in the service of Krishna. So we should not give up things that can be used in Krishna's service. Verse number 9. Now Shaunak Rishi is going to speak. Shaunaka Uvacha Savai Nivritti Nirataha Sarva Trope Shako Munihi Kasyava Bhratim Etam Atmarama Samabhyasat. Translation: Shri Shaunaka Muni asked Srila Suta Goswami. Shri Shukdev Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature, Srimad-Bhagavatam? Such a nice question. I'll read again. Srila Shukdev Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and he was Atmaram. The word Atmaram is used here. He was already on the Nivritti Marg and Atmarama Samabhyasat. He was already Atmaram, then why did he take the trouble of studying Srimad-Bhagavatam? Very nice question. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, those who take pleasure in sense enjoyment or those who are fixed in material bodily welfare work are called karmis. Many times we use the word karmi. Srila Prabhupada is teaching us what is the definition of karmi. What is the definition of karmi? Those who take pleasure in sense enjoyment. Sense gratifiers are called karmis. And those who are fixed in material bodily welfare work, they are called karmis. They are called karmis. Now, if we technically see what is the meaning of karmi, it actually means one who is engaged in sense enjoyment through karma kand. One who wants welfare of the body through karma kand. So those who engage in karma kand for sense enjoyment, they are called karmis. Many times we use the word karmi for just people on the street who are breaking the regulative principles, who don't even have faith in dharma, they are not karmis. An atheist who is enjoying in a liquor house, drinking alcohol and eating meat, is he a karmi? No, he is not doing karma kand to enjoy. He is outside varnashram. He is a mlecha or a yavan. He is not karmi. Karmi actually in today's Kali Yuga, it's an exalted term. If somebody is called karmi, it's a great glorification because most people are even outside the varnashram system. But karmi is at least within varnashram. This I heard from Srila Bhakti Rasamrit Swami Maharaj. He said that actually because people say, no, I don't associate with karmis. I don't office, they're all karmis. They're all karmis in the office. They're eating meat and they're karmis. No, they are not even within varnashram. They are engaged, yes. Shyam Chandra Prabhu is very correctly saying they are engaged in vikarma. They are vikarmis. They are vikarmis. And devotees are akarmis. They do transcendental activities. So Srila Prabhupada is giving a definition of karmi. Karmis are those people who engage in sense gratification. Out of thousands and millions of such karmis, one may become Atmaram by self-realization. One may become Atmaram by self-realization. Atma means the self, and Rama means to take pleasure. Ramanti, to take pleasure. So one who takes pleasure in the spiritual self, in spiritual life and transcendental activities is called Atmaram. He is satisfied in the self. Doesn't look for material things for happiness. Further below, Srila Prabhupada says the Atmarams are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. Srila Shukdeva Goswami was Atmaram. Now raise your hand if you can give me an example of why Shukdeva Goswami is Atmaram. Just an example from his childhood. When he was born, what did he do? That proves that he was Atmaram. He was not interested in sense gratification. Okay, Amrit Karan Prabhu, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. He actually listened Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva and enter into the home of his mother. And from the very beginning, he's like self-realized personalities now.
Yes, true. But give me an example how he was not interested in sense. Shama Vallavi Mataji. How, see, Prabhupada says Atmaram, see, Atmarams are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect.
Because
give me an example of
I
this.
think he doesn't want to come out of his mother's womb. He's afraid.
Well, that was because he didn't want to get trapped in Maya. My question is, Srila Prabhupada is writing, Atmarams are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. I want an example from Srimad-Bhagavatam that exactly supports this line of Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. When Sukadeva Goswami was running away, he was disturbed by ladies taking bath.
Correct. Srila Prabhupada says, Atmarams are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. Perfect example. Young girls are taking bath and he is not interested. He's just walking. No difference. Srila Shukdeva Goswami had already attained that stage. Very good, Mataji. Shukdeva Goswami has already attained that stage. And still he was attracted to undergo trouble of studying the great literature of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Just see. So now this is the question of Shaunak Rishi. Why? Why is he interested? He's already Atmaram. Why would he take pleasure in reading Srimad-Bhagavatam? Why? Nice question. Someone who is engaged in self-realization, who is a spiritualist, is completely self-satisfied. Why would he take pleasure in Srimad-Bhagavatam? Why? Important question. We must understand. Now, the answer that Srila Suta Goswami is going to give is a nectarian verse. And all our acharyas have tasted this verse from different angles. So this is a very important verse. Verse number 10. Suta Uvacha. Srila Suta Goswami is replying to Shaunak Rishi. Atmaramascha munayo nirgrantha urukrame kurvantya hetu kim bhaktim itham bhuta guno harihi. Very beautiful verse. So now we'll see word by word. Suta Uvacha, Sri Suta Goswami said, Atma Rama, those who take pleasure in Atma. Generally, it refers to the spirit soul, spirit self. Cha, also, Munayaha, sages, Nirgrantha, free from all bondage. Grantha means Hriday Granthi, the knots in the heart. So Nirgrantha means free from all bondage. Api, in spite of, Urukrame, unto the great adventurer. Who is the great adventurer? Whose name is Urukrama? It is Krishna. Krishna's name is Urukrama. Lord Vamanadeva is called Trivikrama and Urukrama. Great activities, great adventurer. Kurvanti, do Ahaytukim, unalloyed bhaktim, Ahaytukim bhaktim, unalloyed devotional service. Itham bhuta, such wonderful gunaha, qualities, Harihi, of Lord Hari. So translation, Srila Prabhupada is saying, all different varieties of Atmaramas. Atmaramas chamunayo. All different types of Atmaramas who take pleasure in the spirit, especially those established in the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, they desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that Krishna possesses transcendental qualities. Itham bhuta guno, Hari. Lord Hari possesses such transcendental qualities, such transcendental guna, that he can attract even the liberated souls. Hari bol. Our Krishna is so attractive. Sarva akarshitahi iti Krishna. Our Krishna is so manoram, so attractive, that even those who are liberated, they are attracted to Krishna. Just see how wonderful Krishna is. And now, in the previous session, we were discussing how Srimad-Bhagavatam does not just have one meaning, but there are different angles of vision, of understanding and relishing Srimad-Bhagavatam. Here is an example. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. All of you know, in the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, as part of the Sanatan Shiksha, the last verse, the last chapter is the explanations of Atmaram verses. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 61 explanations of the Atmaram verse. This one verse. How? Now analyze each word. So in this verse, there are basically 11 different terminologies, 11 different words that are used. Atmaram, Munaya, Nirgrantha, Apicha, Urukrama, Kurvanti, Ahaytukim, Bhaktim, Itham Bhuta Guna, and Hari. There are the 11 terminologies in this one verse. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that each of this word can be interpreted in different ways, has different meanings. And then by combining the different meanings in different ways of the different words, you can get so many different translations of this one verse. For example, just to give an example, Atmaram, correct? The verse begins with the word Atmaram. Now the word Atmaram can have various meanings. There are 7 meanings given by Mahaprabhu. First is, Atmaram refers to the Supreme Absolute Truth, Param Brahma. Then body, it can refer to the body. It can refer to the mind. It can refer to endeavor, endurance, intelligence, and personal habits. The word Munaya, Muni, can refer to those who are thoughtful, those who are grave and silent, those who are ascetics, those who are persistent, those who are mendicants, bhikshuks, and those who are sages and saints. Now, Nirgrantha can have 4 meanings. Just see, every word has so many meanings. Now you combine the different meanings and get so many understandings of this one verse. Nirgrantha, one who is liberated from bondage. We saw Grantha means all the entrapments and bondage. Nirgrantha means one who is free. Second meaning, Grantha, we say Granthara Śrīmad-Bhagavatam ki jai. So Grantha can refer to spiritual books. Nirgrantha means one who has no knowledge of spiritual books. Nirgrantha. And then third meaning is it can mean a capitalist, and it can mean someone who has no money. So in this way, all these words can have different meanings, and by permutation, combination of these different meanings of different words, we can come up with so many explanations. And therefore, our acharyas have commented on Srimad-Bhagavatam in various ways, giving so many different views and opinions. And we should have respect, Adar Buddhi, for all of them. Now, towards the end of the purport, because of course we cannot read the whole purport in detail, in the 4th paragraph from the bottom of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, he gives examples of how the Atmarams, those who are self-realized, they are also attracted to Srimad-Bhagavatam, which glorifies the different qualities of Lord Hari. What is Srimad-Bhagavatam? It is Krishna Lila. It is Krishna Gunagan. Krishna's qualities are described. And to Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's qualities, even the self-realized souls are attracted. So examples are given here. Great sages such as the four Kumaras, Sanak Kumar, Sanatan Kumar, Sananda Kumar, and Sanat Kumar. These four are attracted by the fragrance of flowers and tulsi leaves anointed with the pulp of sandalwood offered at the lotus feet of Lord Hari. We have seen this. The description is there in Srimad-Bhagavatam. By smelling the aroma of the tulsi and sandalwood pulp from the lotus feet of Shri Krishna, the four Kumaras, Chatush Kumar, were attracted to Bhakti. They gave up their impersonal conceptions and they became devotees. Similarly, Shri Shukdev Goswami was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. When Srila Vyasadeva told him the transcendental pastimes, he was attracted. Another example Srila Prabhupada gives, Rukmini was attracted by hearing the qualities of the Lord. It is said that Rukmini, she was living in Kaundanyapur, in Vidarbha, and her father, Maharaj Bhishmak, would invite different sadhus to speak some Bhagavad Katha. And one day Srimad Narad Muni came and he said, I am coming from Dwarka and let me describe the beautiful pastimes and qualities and attractive features of Dwarkadhish Krishna. And he's telling Maharaj Bhishmak, and his daughter Rukmini Devi is listening. And just by hearing from Srimad Narad Muni the glorious qualities of Krishna, she was completely attracted. So Rukmini is attracted just by hearing about Krishna. Lord Krishna attracts even the minds of the goddess of fortune. Even Lakshmi Devi wants to come and participate in the Raslila. Another example, how Krishna is all attractive. Krishna attracts the minds of the elderly ladies in Vatsalya Bhav. They are making all this butter every day, thinking that Krishna will come and steal it. They want Krishna to steal. That's why they are making such wonderful butter. Transcendental competition with Yashoda Maiya. Krishna is attracting. And Krishna attracts the minds of all his male gopas who serve him as friends and servants. Now the word Hari, it has got two connotations to it. The word Hari conveys various meanings, but the chief import of the word Hari is that Hari, Lord Hari, vanquishes everything inauspicious and takes away the mind of the devotee by awarding pure transcendental love. Who knows this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita? Yes, Satyarupa Mataji and Janani Mataji.
I'm not able to. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hari Shabda Nana Artha Dui Mukhyatam Sarva Amang Hare Diye Prema Sarva Amang. I'm confused, sorry, Prabhu. Sarva Amang Manahare.
Yes, so nice. I'm so happy to hear this. Sarva Amangal Hare, that is one. And Prem Diye and Man Hare. He gives his own love and steals the heart. So exactly Srila Prabhupada is saying. Hari vanquishes everything inauspicious, Sarva Amangala Hare, and Prem De Man Hare takes away the mind of the devotee by awarding pure transcendental love. Prem De Man Hare, Iti Hari. These two are the meanings. Sarva Amangala Hare Iti Hari takes away all inauspicious, and Prem De Man Hare Iti Hari. That is also Hari. One who gives his own love and then steals the heart. By remembering the Lord, by remembering Lord Hari in acute distress, one can be free from all varieties of miseries and anxieties. This is the example of Gajendra. This is the example of Gajendra. Last paragraph. So by interpreting each and every word of this shloka, the Atmaram verse, one can see unlimited numbers of transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna that attract the mind of a pure devotee. Ultimately, it is the meaning of this verse is that Krishna has unlimited transcendental qualities, and through the unlimited transcendental qualities, Krishna attracts the minds of his pure devotees. So wonderful. Verse number 11. Harer guna kshiptamatir bhagavan badarayanihi adhyagan mahad akhyanam nityam vishnu janapriyaha. Shri Shukadev Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Vishnu Jana Priya. Thus he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad-Bhagavatam. Very important. That Srila Shukadeva Goswami was not only absorbed in Krishna, but he was also very dear to the devotees of Krishna. This is very important. There is one Vaishnava in Vrindavan. Now please listen carefully, dear devotees. This Vaishnava's life and soul is Vaishnava seva. And you know what was the realization of this Vaishnava? He got attracted to Vaishnava seva because he read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting to Ramananda Rai in the Madhya Lila a verse from our Puranas, Adi Puran, where Krishna tells Arjun, Ye me bhakta jana partha name bhaktascha te jana mad bhaktanam cha ye bhaktas te me bhaktottama mata. Those who are my devotees are actually not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees, they are my best devotees. When this devotee read this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Mahaprabhu is telling Ramananda Rai, because Ramananda Rai comes and tells Mahaprabhu, give your mercy to Maharaj Prataprudra. And Mahaprabhu says that, well, because he has treated you so nicely, he has taken such good care of you. You wanted to come and be with me. He gave you your entire salary as your pension for the rest of your life. So you don't have to worry. Your salary will keep coming. And he said, I relieve you from your duty as the governor of Madras. Go and serve Mahaprabhu. Because he was so nice to you, he served you in this way. I'm sure Krishna will give full mercy to Maharaj Prataprudra. And that's when Mahaprabhu quotes this verse. Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhakta shete jana, mad bhakta naam che bhaktas te me bhaktottama mata. This devotee really latched on to this one principle of Vaishnava seva. So he said, it's a very good way to please Mahaprabhu. Vaishnava seva. Prabhu kahe Vaishnava seva naam sankirtan, dui kara shigra prabhe Shri Krishna charan. Mahaprabhu says in Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita to the residents of Kuliagram. Prabhu ko hai Vaishnava seva, Naam Sankirtan, Dui kara shigra pabe Shri Krishna charan. Such a good formula. Just do two things. Do Naam Sankirtan and do Vaishnava seva, and you will get Krishna. Mahaprabhu is promising. So he does a lot of Vaishnava seva. When it is winter, he gives blankets worth 2,000 rupees each. Blanket worth 2,000 rupees each to the sadhus of Vrindavan when they are feeling cold. He gives wonderful prasad for them, makes sure that there is puri, there is paneer sabji, there is rice, there is dal, and there is kheer. He never serves a feast to the sadhus for Vaishnava seva without kheer. Sweet must be there. He does it so much love every time. And he was asked, how should one do Vaishnava seva? And the answer he gave, his realization, very important, my dear friends. Please listen carefully. This Brajvasi sadhu, who is the Murtiman Swarup, he is the personification of Vaishnava seva. He said, doing Vaishnava seva is like walking on a sharp razor edge. Sharp razor edge. It's like walking on a razor edge. If you go this way, you get ahankar, you get ego, pride, that I am doing so much Vaishnava seva. Yes, I donated that. Yes, I am that. I donated so much. I have sponsored that. You get ahankar. I sponsored, I give that donation, I did that. When you do seva, you get ahankar. And if you go on this side, you commit Vaishnava aparadha. When someone comes for seva, you say, hey, I don't want to do. You are not a sadhu. Or, why should I do? You're begging all the time. Do something. Work. Why are you begging like this? Look, I am working. I am earning money. So we commit aparadha. So Vaishnava seva is like walking on a razor's edge. You go this way, you get ego and pride and arrogance for the seva you are doing. When you do seva and you don't do seva, you are liable to commit Vaishnava aparadha if you don't have the proper attitude. At least one should offer sweet words. This is a very wonderful opportunity you are giving me to serve the sadhus, the Vaishnavas. but I'm very sorry. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to do right now. Please forgive me. So that may be okay, but one should not see faults in the sadhus, in the devotees, and commit Vaishnava Aparadha. So that risk is there. And to perform Vaishnava Seva properly means to walk on that razor's edge. It's walking on razor's edge means what? One has to be very careful. Will we walk on a razor's edge, looking here and there? No, very careful. You cannot go here, you cannot go there. It's a narrow path. You have to walk it, tread it very carefully, very carefully. We don't want to become egoistic and arrogant and pride for the Vaishnava Seva we are doing. And we don't want to become so careless and callous that we commit aparadha while doing seva. So both, we have to be very careful. There is a story in the Puranas. There was one king, and he was giving donations in a holy place, in Vrindavan only. The story is there. He was giving donations, and he had a pile of things that he was giving away in gifts to the sadhus, to the Brajvasis. Take this, you take clothes, you take this sack of food grains, you take this, you take that. He was giving away. You take ghee, you take cows. So many things he was giving. And he had given away everything that he had brought that day for donation. And then one sadhu came and said, please give me some donation. And the king looked, he said, you are too late. I already gave away everything. I don't have anything now. So I said, no, please give. So everybody had got, give me something. And this king said, you don't know how much I have given. Your grandfathers also must not have seen so much wealth that I gave today in charity. But now I have given away everything. You are too late. Next time you come. No, please give. All right. Then you walk behind my chariot and you come to my palace. There I will give you. Come. He said, no, I'm not going anywhere. You give me here only. The king got so angry with this sadhu. He told his soldiers, you see my chariot, you see those horses that are there to pull my chariot? They have just pooped. Pick up that poop and give this sadhu. He is asking for some charity. Give him the poop of my horses. The soldiers went, and in a pot, they collected the poop of the horses and they gave the sadhu. The sadhu smiled and said, thank you, and took it. It is described the day this king died, all his life he was very charitable. The day he died, the Yamdutas took him to Yamraj. And Yamraj gave him a huge mountain of horse stool and told him, now sit and eat. You have to finish eating this entire mountain of horse poop. Because all your life you gave charity, but that one time you severely insulted a sadhu. You see, we know the story of Nriga, King Nriga from Srimad-Bhagavatam 10th Canto, how he had to become a lizard. You see, this path is very narrow and we have to be very careful. When we give donations, it is best to give anonymous donation so that we don't get pratishtha, we don't get recognition, we don't become arrogant and proud that I donated this. Sometimes people write their name on the items that they give. They will give a clock, wall clock they will donate. On that wall clock, it will be written name. Such and such person has given. Supreme Bhet from such and such person. Why you want the whole world to know that you donated a clock? Please. It is simply going to puff up your ego. We should not do that. And at the same time, we should not see faults in others and commit Vaishnava Aparadha. This is the path of Vaishnava Seva. But it is the path that we must tread, my dear friends, because it is very pleasing to Mahaprabhu. So here in the purport it is said, according to Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Shukdev Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. He was a liberated soul. And Srila Vyasadeva knew that. He will not stay at home. Therefore, to attract him, he spoke Srimad-Bhagavatam. And he completely got attracted to Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srila Shukdev Goswami. Next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, by the mercy of Narad Muni, Vyasadeva got Srimad-Bhagavatam and Vyasadeva gave it to Shukdev Goswami. This is the parampara system, my dear friends. And Shukdev Goswami gave up his impersonal Brahman absorption and took up to Krishna Nam, Krishna Lila, Krishna Gun. Became a devotee. Next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, the devotees of the Lord who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entities and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord do not very much like the impersonalists. Yes. Asat Sanga Tyagai Vaishnavachar. Mayavada Bhashya Shunile Haya Sarvanash. Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. You have to remember all these verses from Srimad-Bhagavatam. And we should avoid the association of personalities who are not favorable for devotional service. Srila Shukdev Goswami also had no liking for devotees. So just like devotees have no liking for impersonalists, impersonalists also don't like to associate with devotees. Haribol. So Shukdev Goswami was an impersonalist. He was liberated, but he was a Brahmavadi. So he had no liking for devotees. Srila Prabhupada is writing. Srila Shukdev Goswami also had no liking for the devotees. But since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Janas. And the Vishnu Janas also liked his association since he became a person Bhagavat. But after Shukdev Goswami heard Srimad-Bhagavatam, he became a devotee of Bhagavan. And then he loved the association of devotees and the devotees loved his association. Vishnu Janas. And who is Parishit Maharaj? He is Vishnu Rath. One who was protected. Vishnu Rath. One who was protected by Lord Vishnu in the womb, by Lord Krishna. Therefore, Srila Shukdev Goswami is serving Vishnu Rath, Parishit Maharaj. So this is the wonderful beauty of Krishna consciousness. The heart becomes purified and then we simply want the association of devotees. Ha ha swarup sanatana bhatta raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Ha ha Prabhu. Ha ha. What is that verse? Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa. Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Dasa. So Narottama Thakur is wanting the association of his dear friend Ramchandra Kaviraj, the disciple of Srila Srinivas Acharya. Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramchandra Sangamage Narottama Das. This is the devotee. Always wanting devotee association. I have seen even devotees, they get transferred through job to some city. First question they ask, Prabhuji, you know any devotees there? Koi devotee association hai kya udhar? Koi bhakti riksha hai kya udhar? Koi temple hai kya? These are their questions. This is very nice. That a devotee always wants to be in the association of devotees. This is very good. So I will stop here. It's 1 hour. Are there any questions or comments? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, Swati Mataji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, all Krishna Prabhupada. Prabhuji, as you mentioned that sometimes we need a Vaishnava, we have lots of desire to serve the Vaishnavas, but due to our offenses, we don't get the opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas or do the service of Vaishnava, whatever it is service, or our lack of our enthusiasm. Means we have enthusiasm, but still we don't get opportunity because of our Harinam. We don't have taste of Harinam, or what the main real problem?
The real problem is that we don't understand what is Vaishnava Seva. A person who understands what is Vaishnava Seva will never have this question. There is always opportunity for Vaishnava Seva. Vaishnava Seva does not mean that senior devotees should come to our house and eat what we have cooked. That is one way of serving the Vaishnavas. But there are so many ways of doing Vaishnava Seva. There are opportunities everywhere. Every moment, there is opportunity to do Vaishnava Seva. So one has to understand what is actual Vaishnava Seva. One can be sitting alone in a room and doing Vaishnava Seva. Vaishnava Seva does not mean that we have to get the personal association of a Vaishnava and be with them. Vaishnava Seva can be just sitting in one's room and praying from the core of one's heart for the welfare of another Vaishnava. That is Vaishnava Seva, is it not? To pray for another Vaishnava. To serve one's Guru is Vaishnava Seva. The Guru is the greatest Vaishnava for us. To chant our rounds nicely, that is Vaishnava Seva. To take care of our family is Vaishnava Seva. One devotee was telling me, Prabhuji, what to do? I don't have any Vaishnava association. His wife is an initiated devotee. He is himself an initiated devotee. He has got 2 children who are chanting 16 rounds, and he's telling me, Prabhuji, I have no association of devotees. I said, first you have to learn to look at your family members also as Vaishnavas. Taking care of one's children, one's spouse is also first-class Vaishnava seva. So we can serve our Guru, we can serve Srila Prabhupada, we can serve our Parampara, we can do transcription service sitting at home. We can do so many menial services. That is first-class Vaishnava seva. So the reason we feel we are not getting opportunity for Vaishnava seva is because we don't understand what is Vaishnava seva. It is not that it is lack of bhajan or it is lack of kripa. It is lack of understanding what is Vaishnava seva. So we need to have to adjust our attitude. We need to understand what is actually Vaishnava seva. Every moment is Vaishnava seva. We cannot be without Vaishnava seva even for a moment. We have to live every moment of our life in a spirit of service to the Vaishnavas. Every moment there is opportunity to Vaishnava seva. Every moment. Every endeavor of our life is for Vaishnava seva. Is that okay, Swati Mataji? We have to deeply think about this. We have to deeply contemplate and think. What is Vaishnava seva? How can I do Vaishnava seva? Then so many opportunities will come. Is that okay, Swati Mataji? Are you understanding?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sundari Gopi Mataji.
Prabhuji, here it is said that Sukadeva Goswami was very dear to the devotees of the Lord before he studied the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So, who was Sukadeva Goswami? Which devotees who was he very dear to?
Where, Mataji? Where is it saying?
Yeah, this one, the last 11th text that we read, he was very dear to the devotees of the Lord. So, can you give me some names? I didn't understand which devotees is it talking about.
Oh, after he became a person, Bhagavat?
No. See, Sukadeva Goswami, thus he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad-Bhagavatam. He was not he was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord.
So can you tell me which paragraph this is? Because it's a long.
No, just the translation, Prabhuji, sorry.
Oh, translation, not the purport. Oh, sorry. The Sukadeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasdeva, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus, he underwent a study of this great narration, Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srila Sukadeva Goswami originally is a very dear parrot of Srimad Radharani. So, in Golok Vrindavan, he is very dear to all the Brajbasis, especially to Srimati Radharani.
Okay, yeah, I didn't understand that before. In the spiritual world, wala very dear. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Amrit Karan Prabhu.
It's a very wonderful session, Prabhuji. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Actually, the King Vigo, he was as a lizard inside the well, and then Lord Krishna actually delivered him. Can you just explain a little bit?
So that story is there in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, Prabhu, that he liked to give charity, and he gave away thousands and thousands of cows. But unknowingly, one cow got mixed up, and he donated it twice. And then the Brahman who was given it first, he came and he said, "That is my cow." Nriga Maharaj said, "Sorry, don't worry, I made a mistake, but I will give you thousands of more cows, but let this cow go now with that Brahman." The Brahman said, No. First it was given to me only. And both the Brahmans, they fought that, no, you have to do something. And Maharaj Nriga could not satisfy them. So in his next life, he had to become a lizard. Although he was so charitable, he had given so much dhan. But that one mistake landed him in a lower species of life. So this teaches us that how careful we have to be on this path. But on the path of bhakti, this risk of falling down is not there. But on the path of karma kand, on the path of piety, this risk is there. But anyway, because he had some bhakti, he was a devotee, but not a pure devotee, but he was a devotee, definitely a very great devotee. Therefore, his bhakti protected him. And although he fell down in the form of a lizard, but Krishna came to rescue him. Krishna himself came to rescue him. And once the Yadu boys, they were playing, and in a well, they found this big lizard, and they called Krishna. And Krishna came, and as soon as Krishna touched the lizard to rescue the lizard out of the well, immediately he became liberated, the Maharaj Niriga. So the story is there in the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Okay.
The same Riga is like he gave the foods to the one saintly person who came to get the alms from him.
It was a cow.
No, that you said the horse poo.
Oh, no, that's a different Puranic story. It's in some other Puran.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I heard it in the Bhagavatam class, but I don't remember which Puran it is from.
Okay.
But the story is
Thank
there.
you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Shama Vallavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, regarding Vaishnava seva, you told that within our house also we should see to our husband, wife as Vaishnavas, and we should be very careful to them not doing a Vaishnava aparad. But I am afraid that I am doing Vaishnava aparad daily with my house members. How to overcome that? Daily we should ask forgiveness at the end of the day, because we become angry with the people who are close to us. Actually,
Yes, Mataji, that is very true. And that is a big challenge for all of us, because familiarity breeds contempt. Every day we are with the family members, so it is very easy to look at them as their family members. But if that same person was in the congregation, we would be so respectful, because we know that, oh, this is a sincere devotee. But because he is our wife, she's our wife, or he's our husband, or other family members, we sometimes take them for granted. It's very common. So we have to be careful, Mataji. And all this proper intelligence, it comes by good satsang and good bhajan. If we have good bhajan and we have good satsang, we are associating with devotees, we have good spiritual guides in our life, then this buddhi comes, and we are able to discriminate, and we are able to control our behavior, adjust our behavior, so we don't commit offenses. But offenses to one's family members are also very dangerous, and we should be very careful. Very careful. Okay, Mataji?
yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sharmishta Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is about Vaishnava seva. So it is said that he who has taken Harinam once in a lifetime, he is considered as a Vaishnava. So we don't know who has taken Harinam once in a lifetime or not. So is it like we should serve only the initiated devotees or practicing devotees, or we should serve everyone thinking as Vaishnavas? And sometimes, Prabhuji, we even get so many opportunities to serve the devotees, but due to some problems, we are not able to do. We couldn't serve, and we have to say no to that devotee. So, is it an offense, Prabhuji?
No, it is not an offense. To answer the second question, it's not an offense, because it may not be always possible to serve. So we should humbly apologize that I wish I could serve you, Prabhu, but sorry, at this time I don't have the wealth, or I don't have the capability to serve you. So please forgive me. But at least we should offer sweet words, and whatever little help we can do, we should offer. But every time it may not be possible to accept every service, because then we will not be able to do justice to the services. So we have to know what is our limitations, and that is not an offense. But it is an offense to insult a devotee, or to see faults in a devotee, or to criticize a devotee. That we should not do. Even if we have to turn them down, we're not able to serve, we should do it in a very polite way. And we should have genuine regret that I could not please this devotee. I hope in the future I'm able to please, like that. Okay. What was the first question?
That we consider everyone is considered as Vaishnava.
So Mahaprabhu answers this question in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Mahaprabhu says that everyone is my devotee. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu says everyone is my devotee, because Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. So everyone is my devotee, and therefore we should not offend anybody, whether they are devotee today or not. And the proof for this is in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Suruchi, the stepmother of Dhruva Maharaj, she died in a forest fire later on. And her son, Uttam, he was killed by a yaksha. And our acharyas comment that this happened because of her Vaishnava aparad to Dhruv Maharaj. But then the question is, when Suruchi offended Dhruv, Dhruv was not even a devotee. He was just a 5-year-old boy. So how Vaishnava aparad? So then our acharyas explain, Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj explains in his book called Vaishnava aparad, that because later on he became a devotee, that also was counted as an aparad. And eventually everybody is going to become a devotee. So even even Madai in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he tells Nityananda Prabhu. There is a chapter in Chaitanya Bhagavat called Madayera Vilap, the lamentation of Madai. After he becomes a devotee, he is filled with lamentation. I offended you, Nityananda Prabhu. How could I hate you? Nityananda Prabhu said, I have not even considered as an offense. If a child kicks the father, father doesn't mind it. Don't worry, I forgive you. But I have offended so many other people also. And that time they were not devotees, but now all of them have become devotees by your preaching. Madhai tells Nityananda Prabhu. So then I have committed such horrible Vaishnava aparad. Now what will happen? So then Nityananda Prabhu says that you beg forgiveness from everyone and build a Madai Ghat. Build a ghat on Ganga and serve them. When they come for bath, they should have a nice, dry, clean ghat where they can wash their clothes, they can take their snan, Ganga snan. So you serve them in this way. When they come, offer to wash their clothes, offer to fill their pots with water and carry it on your head to their house. Do Vaishnava seva for everyone. Everybody is a Vaishnava. So like that, we have to be careful. But the greater the Vaishnava, the greater the aparad. Shachi Mata just thought negatively about Advaita Acharya, but that was considered a very big Vaishnava aparad by Mahaprabhu. So we have to be careful. The greater the Vaishnava, the more the aparad, severe the aparad. Okay? Hare Krishna. Divya Mataji.
Hello.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I wanted to ask, when you said that you chant the holy names and, all the distress, gone away. But when I heard Ladini Mataji's story, I found it so discouraging and so heartbreaking. How she was killed and how she was murdered, even though she was chanting the names of Krishna. So how do we understand that?
It was heartbreaking, yes, but Ladini Mataji immediately got Krishna. No need to suffer in this world anymore. So our acharyas explain that a devotee shuts his or her eyes in this world and opens the eyes in Golok Vrindavan, a sincere devotee. So in this material world, there is birth, old age, disease and death. So much suffering is there. So why suffer in this world? Sometimes Krishna very quickly takes his devotees back to his spiritual abode. That's what he did with Ladini Mataji. Now we are all still stuck here. And Ladini Mataji, 32 years ago, she went back to Godhead. So it's good for her. In a moment, some suffering was there, but in a moment, she went to Golok Vrindavan. So actually, it is for us, it is painful, but for Ladini Mataji, it is a very joyous occasion. Our acharyas explain it's like a daughter getting married. You have a daughter, so you know Divya Mataji. When a daughter, and you are yourself a daughter. So imagine there is a girl and she is getting married to the boy of her choice. The boy she has always wanted to marry, the boy she loves. She's getting married. Or parents use bida kar rahe hai. The parents are, sending her off to the husband's house after marriage. So what are the girl's parents doing? They are crying. But what is the girl? The girl is maybe externally she may shed some tears, but internally she is very happy that she is getting married to this handsome, loving, caring gentleman that she always wanted to get married to. The passing away of our acharyas is exactly like that. We are like the girl's family. We are crying in separation. But the acharya has gone back to his beloved, Krishna. So Ladini Mataji went back to her beloved Jagannath, to her beloved Krishna. We are left here crying. So is that okay, Divya Mataji? Always remember this example of a bride. Okay?
Yeah, But why difference in Prahlad Leela, Gajendra Leela? You know, why we see so much of like, you know, we consider when he saves a devotee, we consider that as a mercy, but when he doesn't save a devotee, even that we consider. I mean, why there's a difference? Why, you know?
Because Krishna's protection is not just on the bodily platform. Krishna's protection has to be understood on a spiritual platform. The human body has to die. So if someone gets cured from a disease, does not mean that Krishna is merciful. That is not real mercy of Krishna. Parishit Maharaj was not saved. Parishit Maharaj died. But those who were saved, they also died. Draupadi Devi was saved, but she also died. Eventually, everyone has to die. Bhishma Dev also died. Bhishma Dev didn't have a very comfortable death. He was such a great devotee. He was on a bed of arrows. So pain and suffering is for everyone, not just for Ladini Mataji. For everyone. A devotee may die of a heart attack. That is also painful. A devotee may die in a road accident. That is also painful. A devotee may die of cancer. That is also painful. A devotee may die of gunshot wounds. That is also painful. Death is always painful. And pain and suffering will always be there. It's not that a devotee will always just die very peacefully in the sleep of old age. No, it's not possible. So there are different types of deaths, and Krishna's protection is not on the body level. Krishna's protection on the level of the soul. Whatever happens to the body, as it will inevitably happen, but Krishna always protects the soul. And we can know that Ladini Mataji went back to Godhead because she was absorbed in thoughts of Krishna at the time of death and throughout her life. So was Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj. So was Sripada Indra Prabhu. So was Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. So was Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And therefore, we know that they went back home, back to Godhead. Krishna took them. So like that. We have to see the life, entire life of the devotee. Death will come to everyone. That is inevitable. Sometimes it is painful, sometimes it is more painful, but it is always painful. All of us are going to have pain at a time of death. That is inevitable. Krishna's protection is on the level of the soul. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So, Prabhu, I'm trying to understand the sequence of events here. So, just please clarify. So, at the end of Mahabharata, right, which happened like 5,000 years back around. So, it is said that I heard from one of the lecturers that when Duryodhana fell down, right, that is when exactly the Kali Yuga started. And in Kali Yuga, the Pandavas led the kingdom for about 35 years in Kali Yuga. And then Krishna left the planet. And
Kali Yuga started after Krishna left this planet, not when Krishna was on the planet.
Okay.
This is mentioned in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Kali Yuga started after Krishna's departure. As long as Krishna was on the planet, there was no Kali Yuga. It was Dwapar Yuga.
So if you take that as an instance, that so after Krishna left the planet, then Srila Vyasadeva, he went into Samadhi, and in Samadhi he saw all the events happened until then, and then he wrote Srimad-Bhagavatam. Is that how it is?
So after Krishna left this world, Srila Vyasadeva, he got Srimad-Bhagavatam from his Gurudev, Srila Narad Muni. And after Krishna left this world, then Parishit Maharaj became the king of the world. And then Parishit Maharaj also, he ruled for a few years. The Pandavas, they ruled for 35 years after the Kurukshetra war. And after that, the Pandavas left. After Krishna left this world, the Pandavas left this world. Then Parishit Maharaj became the king. Yudhishthira Maharaj made him the next king. And he ruled for a few years. And after that, he was cursed to die. And he also passed away. So the Srimad-Bhagavatam that was taught to Srila Shukadeva Goswami by his father Srila Vyasadeva after Krishna's departure was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parishit Maharaj. 7 days, last 7 days of his life.
So what did he do when he went to Samadhi actually? He said that he went into Samadhi, right? Srila Vyasadeva went into Samadhi, and in Samadhi he visualized all the events happened.
Correct.
Till then. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then he came back from Samadhi and then he spoke to Sukadeva Goswami?
No. So Prabhu, see, the actual writing of Srimad-Bhagavatam, we have discussed this in the previous classes, the actual writing of Srimad-Bhagavatam by Srila Vyasadeva happened after the death of Parikshit Maharaj. Srimad-Bhagavatam was taught to Shukadeva Goswami before the death of Parikshit Maharaj, obviously. But in Srimad-Bhagavatam, there is description of Parikshit Maharaj's death. So how can that happen? How could Srila Vyasadeva have written that before the death happening? So the actual compilation of Srimad-Bhagavatam for all of us to read was done by Srila Vyasadeva after Maharaj Parikshit left this world. You see, Srila Vyasadeva is there. He was there during the time of Krishna also. He's always there on this planet in Badrikashram. So he, after hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam in a seed form from his Gurudev, Srila Narad Muni, Srila Vyasadeva taught it fully to Srila Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami spoke it. Parikshit Maharaj died. And after that, Srila Vyasadeva has given the Srimad-Bhagavatam to us in the way that it exists, all the 18,000 verses.
So that is in Kali Yuga?
That is in Kali Yuga, absolutely.
Right, okay.
That is in Kali Yuga. That's why Srimad-Bhagavatam contains details of Parikshit Maharaj's passing away also.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very well.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shama Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, in verse 11 at the end, we read that it appears that Srila Shukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees. And then later on it said that, he desired always transcendental association of Vishnu Janas. So we understand that he was liberated from birth. So did he become a devotee after studying Srimad-Bhagavatam and then he developed a liking?
Yes. When he was leaving the house, Srila Vyasadeva chanted 2 verses from Srimad-Bhagavatam. Barha Pidam Natavara Vapuhu and Aho Bakiyam Sthanakala Kutam. These 2 verses. 1 verse glorifying Krishna's mercy, Aho Bakiyam Sthanakala Kutam, from the 3rd canto, and from the 10th canto, a verse describing Krishna's physical beauty. Barha Pidam Natavara Vapuhu Karanayo Karnikaram. So by hearing these 2 verses, Shukadeva Goswami stopped. And he approached his father and then he was taught the entire Srimad-Bhagavatam. So like that. Yes, he became a pure devotee after hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay Govind Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. My question was related to the context which you were answering for Divya Mataji, for the pain and the suffering. So what I heard was that, Prabhuji, for the devotees, there is the pain, but they do not have the suffering while the pain is there. Is it that how we understand?
Yes, Prabhu. So, Srila Sridhar Swami, Prabhupada disciple, His Holiness Sridhar Swami Maharaj, he said this, that the 3 types of material miseries, they are compulsory for everyone. Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik. But the miseries are compulsory, but suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. For one who is absorbed in Krishna, they don't suffer like a ordinary person does, because they are in touch with Krishna. And Krishna is source of all happiness. He's Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That Anand is coming from Krishna. Even though there is on the bodily plane, so many things are going on. This is experiential. This has to be experienced with spiritual advancement.
Thank you.
They transcend the bodily pain and suffering. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kavita Mataji, last question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is there any difference between a pure devotee and a great devotee, or are these synonyms?
Pure devotee is a very specific term. Pure devotee means a Shuddha Bhakta. And Shuddha Bhakta refers to anyone who has no other desire other than service to Krishna. And a great devotee can be used for anyone. A great devotee can be used even for a Madhyamadikari. So great devotee is a relative term, But pure devotee is a very specific term. Pure devotee refers to someone who is completely devoid of all anarthas and who is completely engaged in the service of Krishna. So that I would say they're different. Great devotee can be used for anyone. All devotees are great. Pure devotee is a specific term. Okay?
Ji Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So I think there are no more questions. We'll stop here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Grandhara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Vidai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Thank you.